Welcome to my channel, Senior Hiker 77. I've got an array of backpacking stoves that I've accumulated over the last 4.5 years. Now I'm not going to review each and every one, but I will tell you, I'll try to explain why I bought it, what turned me off about it, and what was my final configuration. Maybe it will help you not make the same mistake. MSR International. Then it was a Soto Muka and a wind burner. All three of those I ruled out. Don't use them, sold them, or either took them back to REI. So then my next purchase was a Jetboil. For boiling water, can't beat it. In fact, I even got the Sumo. Have no negative thoughts about it, except it ended up being just a little bulky, and I didn't like the weight. But as a weekend warrior, this would be all you need if you're not doing a through hike or something. This Jetboil works fine. Alright, next I tried, I think this is the MSR Pocket Rocket, but my feeling was that the flame was shooting up. Only in my head now, I felt like it was like a torch, and it was going to eventually burn a hole in my titanium pot. Not that I heard anybody ever say it did, but that was just my feeling. So that I got turned off about. Next was one, same sort of issue with this one. Wouldn't be about $15 at Amazon. I don't even think it has a name. But it has a piezo lighter, which was good for $15. But it just didn't seem to do the job for me. Then I got into alcohol stoves, and I don't particularly care for them. They're a little slow. They work and they're fine, but this particular model here, if you're going to simmer, you can't get your hands on this. Is if you want to adjust it, it can be hot. So alcohol stove, I didn't like that. But let's see, I got one more. Oh, this one. Yeah. This is a Asbit in 2 pieces, but this one had a little handle on it like that, and I like that because you can adjust it and kind of keeps your fingers away from the flame. Then there's an Asbit stove. Didn't like it. Too slow. Too slow. Put an Asbit cube in there. They say it ran for 15 minutes. It didn't work for me. This, I didn't mind this one. The only thing about the alcohol stove is that if you cook it in your vegetable, and if you don't get the alcohol exactly in this and you spill it, it's going to flame up on you, and you can't sometimes tell it's even lit. So alcohol stoves were out for me. So then I went into these. What is this one here? This is Optimus something, but I got it because it had a nice platform here, and but I didn't like it. If you notice, can you see that? How it wouldn't stay down? I think because this is too stiff. And the other thing I didn't like, it was being a weekend warrior, I always bring a frying pan. So this one here was slipping down in here like that. I didn't particularly care for that. So the Optimus is out. Then I went with this one here, is a Cova Spider. Yeah, a Cova Spider. It's got this little tube sticking up, I think preheats your fuel before it burns it. But it has a nice pretty blue flame and it works real fine. The only thing I didn't like about that, these 3 prongs, you still had an issue with the frying pan wanting to fall off if you didn't pay attention to where you put the handle down. So I do use this one, especially it's got a low profile if you're cooking in your vegetable. Of course, my tin, I can disconnect the inner tin, and my rainfly becomes my tarp, and of course I can porch out the vegetable doors on either side if it's raining or snowing. So this one here is nice. Of course, you can turn this upside down give you more power. But I don't use it that much, but this is a usable one. I like it. It comes with a little Mr. Sparky. And it also comes with a windscreen. And I always carry a big lighter. Now, if my wife goes along, I move up to this larger pot with a little frying pan that I have. In fact, all of us have had our food in there, and all of a sudden the food goes out on the ground. I don't know why, but all three of us, my buddies, experienced that. They laughed at me because it happened to me the first time, but it ended up happening to them. So if my wife goes, I end up with this. Now, let's get to some wood stoves. Wood stoves are fun, but lots of work. You use twigs. There's no doubt about it. You can use twigs if you got the time. After hiking all day, if you feel like putting your stove together and getting the twigs, small ones, medium, and large, and break them all up. If you've got time for all that, they're fun to do. Plus, they'll turn your pot black, so you have to be careful. So, this is a titanium amber lit UL titanium. You have to be an engineer to put them together, by the way. Then I went with to cut down on the smoke. I went with what they would call a dual chamber. It supposedly burns the gases, and this was fun to work with, but you see it's not big. So if you're going to deal with wood stoves, you'll need to bring some sort of cutting tool. This is a baco for sawing limbs. In fact, this one here, I was able to find a limb about that round and whacked off a piece. And then if you do that, then you got to have some sort of knife to baton. And I don't mind using this is my SE3, just a little knife. It's not big, but it's big enough to baton that little piece. I don't mind batoning a little piece like that, because then you could stack them in there. And of course you can use a Isuzu, a smaller knife yet. You don't need much of one if you're going to use these wood stoves, okay? They call it a neck knife. Whatever. That's what they call it, a neck knife. Okay. Now, if you're going to use wood stoves, I've been through all the fire starters on Amazon and all the YouTube recommendations, but this here is from Publix, and it's called Easy Fire, and you can find it back in the section where they sell charcoal and wood chips and stuff like that. Now, it looks like a little bar of soap, but you can smell it. I'm old enough to know what kerosene smells like in flow furnace and space heaters, but somehow they turned it into a little bar soap, it looks like. But actually you don't need but half of it, even a quarter of it. You don't need much, and this really is the easiest way. Of course, I carry a Sparky and a Ferrod in fire steel just in case. One more thing you may need if you're going to fool with wood stoves is you'll need this bellows. It extends out. Why you need that? If you don't have it, you'll be leaning over, blowing your fire back into a flame, whereas if you had this, let me see what the name is. This is a pocket bellows. I think it's about $10 on Amazon, but this one, you can blow it back into a flame. So you're going to need a couple of little things if you're going to do the wood. Wood is fun to fool with. Now, let's get to what I'm using now. I've got this 750. This is a cozy from Gossamer Gear. It's a little cozy that fits in this titanium pot. It's a 750. And I like this little setup because see, I have a cup for coffee, and then inside I carry my big lighter. Now this is made by Snow Peak. It's called a LiteMax. In fact, I thought so much of it I've got 2 of them. this one this one goes in my what we call my get home bag. This 750 and that LiteMax. I thought so much of it, but after having the second one, come to find out, there must be a manufacturing flaw. But come to find out, these little, there's a screw on top right here. I'll try and take a screenshot before we finish and insert it, but it's a Phillips head, and the more you do this, it loosens up, and if it falls out, I think you're out of business if the screw falls out. So if you take this, of course I don't mind taking it on the weekend because I always make sure it's tight, but it gets really loose, and if you take it, you're going to have to take a jeweler's screwdriver to keep it closed. That's the only thing about it. Other than that, I thought the world of it to buy it. So this is my one of my go-to setups. Okay, now here's the real one. This is a mug. If you like a lot of coffee, this is a mug, whereas this was a cup. But this particular setup, let me show it to you. This, okay, Mr. Sparkly. There. All right, this particular setup, this is a MSR Titan Kettle. And why I like this one is because, like I said, this is my mug, which is bigger than the cup, and it has measurements in it. And you can tell it's got the little red handle on top. But inside it, I carry my fuel canister. I carry my little stand to put it on. This is a Jetboil stand. I carry Mr. Sparky because and I carry a big lighter. And this is my go-to stove as of now. It's from Snow Peak, and it's called GiGa Power. And I like it a lot, and I'll show you why. I like, for one thing, it has 4 prongs on it. Whereas if you use a frying pan, that is a big help to have 4 prongs. And the other thing is, you have the windscreen. You almost have to. You need to buy that when you get your setup. Okay. So there you go. This GiGa Power, this, and the stand. That's my go-to right now. That's the one I probably will take with me. Now, if I wasn't just a weekend warrior, if I was doing a through hike, some of this stuff I wouldn't consider, like a frying pan. I probably wouldn't take that. But I do think if I went, I would take this GiGa Power, this Titan, the MSR Titan Kettle, or either I would take the 750 with the gossamer web. But I don't like the LiteMax with that screw coming loose. I don't care for that. Now, so that's my go-to. Now, I didn't give any of these an okay because now they got a bot. It's called cold soaking. I don't care for it, where they they have a peanut butter jar, something that closes up tight, and they will put say oatmeal, for example, put the water in it and let it soak, screw it down, let it soak, and they eat it cold. And Spam singles, they do the same thing. They call it a meat push-up. And there's pepperoni, many things you can do cold soak and eat. I'm not interested in that. I like my hot coffee in the morning. But as a weekend warrior, there's a couple of things that I like to take, and only because it's just a weekend. I carry 2 eggs, 3 pieces of bacon, and home fries, and 3 or 4 pats of butter. And this here little thing is made by a company called Packet, P-A-C-I-T, I think, yeah, P-A-C-K-I-T, freezables. You freeze this thing, and it's good for that one night, and you can put your eggs, bacon, potatoes, pats of butter, and I put 2 hot dogs if I was having hot dogs, and you zip it up, and it works overnight. But the next day, of course, it's not cold anymore. But I like to take that on my overnight. And then one more thing, I'm a knife, fork, and spoon. I've got all the other titanium sparks, and I have got a long titanium spoon that's polished on the end like this. It's polished on the end, the long spoon, because if you eat a Mountain House or a Paleo or any of these dinners, you need that long spoon to get down in there. So, but if it's possible, I'm a knife, fork, and spoon guy, and I take these titanium, and for me they work good. Now, one more little tip, nothing to do with the stove, but I found these, and they're called fossils, F-O-Z-Z-I-L-F. They have no weight. You can slip it in the back of your backpack, but they're called fossils, F-O-Z-Z-I-L-S, and you can get them on Amazon. I'm pretty sure you can. But what they do is it'll snap into a cup. It'll snap into a cup, and then it'll snap into a bowl. A little bit bigger, snaps into a bowl, and then this one snaps into a trough. I call it a trough. So there we go. Pretty light and easy, you can carry with you for weekend campers. And here's one. The cheapest one is from Walmart. They call it a grease. It's made by Stanley. It's stainless steel, so it's got a little weight to it. But you young guys, pack mules, don't seem to mind carrying it. But I've got it in my get home bag.